Magyar szólások és közmondások angolul beszélőknek.
Hungarian sayings and proverbs for English speakers. Silence.
Álló tóban lakik a béka.
Let's have a look at this one. Tó means a lake. It can also mean a pond. The size is not embedded in the word. Now, tó is a V-based word, and for plurals, accusative and possessives, we actually change the form of the word, which we'll look at later on in this video. But when we add the suffix bon, we do not. So it's just tó bon, in the lake, in the pond. Béka is a frog. Álló comes from the word áll, meaning he, she, it stands. In the case of not moving, being vertical, or actually being placed. So álló means standing. In this case, because it's with a pond, it means stagnant. Lakik means he, she, it lives in the sense of dwelling, not existing. Standing lake in lives the frog. The frog lives in a stagnant pond, which is totally bizarre and doesn't seem to mean anything, but in Hungarian it actually means that silent people are to be feared. You should be beware of quiet but sneaky people. I'm assuming this has some sort of folkloric roots, but I haven't yet been able to track down the actual story that is the basis of this saying. If you know about it, please put a comment below. For our vocab, we're going to look at features on the landscape. We'll start with this tó. So as I said, it's a V base word. So tó means lake. Tóvot means accusative of the lake. Tóvok means lakes, that's the plural, and tóva is the possessive, his, her, its lake. So notice that the long O becomes an O. So not only do we add the V, but we also shorten the sound from O to O. Tó, tóvot. The most famous lake in Hungary, of course, is the Balaton. As you may not be surprised to hear, I've made a video about it, linked below. While the Balaton and other Hungarian lakes tend to be quite shallow, New Zealand lakes tend to be very deep and cold. Here we have Lake Wakatipu, and a bit further south, Lake Manapōuri. A river, Foil. Remember the ly is just a y sound. Foil. Nothing unusual about this. It follows the normal pattern. You add a T for accusative, a K for a plural, and because the word ends in a vowel, yo for the possessive. In Hungary, the most famous river, of course, is the Danube, although the Tisza is also extremely significant. Contrast again these large, deep, wide rivers in Hungary with New Zealand, where the large rivers tend to be braided. This is a river about 100 km from where I live. It's the Rakaya. And you'll see it's mostly gravel until it is in flood. A mountain, head. Again, GY, single sound, yeah. And same normal pattern, T, I just add the T, K, and here the possessive is hegye. Hungary's tallest mountain is Keresztes at 1,014 metres, whereas New Zealand's tallest mountain is Mount Cook, 3,724. In contrast to the word mountain, we have dum, which is a hill. Notice the difference in linking vowel. So while the front vowel word head has a linking vowel of E, the back vowel word dom has a linking vowel of A or O. To contrast further the differences between New Zealand and Hungary, I'm looking out my windows at the moment at the Port Hills, which comes in at 500 metres above sea level, half the height of the highest mountain in Hungary. A cave bálong. Similar pattern to dum. Notice, however, that the accusative has an O for the linking vowel, so sometimes back vowel words have a linking vowel of O for the accusative and sometimes A. And this is something you've just got to learn. Hungary has some amazing, huge cave systems in the north of the country. And in the Hall of the Giants, they even put in an orchestra occasionally for the tourists. New Zealand doesn't tend to have such large cave systems, although we do have some quite long ones. I have some details in the video I made called A Great Fall. The thing that wows the tourists and locals the most are our glowworm caves. I've been to several, both in the North and South Island. They're beautiful. Tenger. There isn't one in Hungary, but obviously New Zealand is completely surrounded by it. 100 metres from my place, here's the view. Finally, erdő. Erdő is forest. I was amused when I caught up with a colleague from the States, where he put on a slide evening for his friends about New Zealand in my honour and showed lots of photos of pine forests. These are not our native forests. Our native forests, which we usually call bush, are quite different. The pine trees actually come from California, being Pinus radiata. Related to the word erdő is the word erdei. Transylvania is actually called in Hungarian. And think of it, Transylvania, in that word, in the English word too, we have the concept of forest, Transylvania, which means beyond the forest. We're going to have a look at the present participle in Hungarian. If you add an O or Ö, usually to the dictionary form, you form the Hungarian present participle. Vár, he waits. Váró, waiting or anticipatory. Kér, he asks. Kérő, asking. Sometimes the vowel is dropped. Forog becomes forgo. Robbol becomes robló. And in some cases there's a base variant with a V. We use that for making the present participle. And finally, the verb to be has two infinitives, voni and leni, and that gives us two present participle, which have slightly different meanings. Volo meaning purpose or belonging, and levo meaning being or location. You may think this adding the O or Ö sounds familiar. In Together, we actually saw it as a way of forming the agent connected with a verb. And the same thing happens here. Kérő can mean asking, but it also can mean a supplicant or a suitor. And robló, while meaning predatory, can also mean robber. And same with the others.
Álló tóban lakik a béka.
The frog lives in the stagnant pond. Beware of quiet but sneaky people. What else can I say? Sneak a like in there would be quite nice. Or add a comment. And it's always good to get comments to see what people are thinking about what I'm producing. Good night.